Yes, people, how is it going on this fine Tuesday afternoon? Welcome back to Lily White Lane. Hope that you're all doing good. Hope that you're all keeping safe and well. And in the words of Alan Partridge, I hope that you're all having a really good Tuesday, wherever you are in the world, and whatever you are planning to get up to today and over the rest of the week as a whole. And you are all very welcome along to a different kind of video. In today's video, we're going to be discussing what midfield should Spurs go with against Brighton and in the foreseeable future. Because for the first time since that Chelsea game in early November, everyone in our midfield is ready to go. Everyone is 100% fit. Soren Bissouma returning from the AFCON. They're ready to start. James Maddison finally playing consistent first-team football again. He's ready to start. Bentancur fully recovered from his injury. He's ready to start. And obviously squad players such as Hojbjerg and Skip have stayed fit throughout the season and are ready to start. So with those 6 midfield options, it begs the question, what 3 should Spurs go with in their next game and in the foreseeable future and pretty much for the rest of the season? And look, I'm going to rule out a couple of players straight away. And those 2 players are probably the 2 players you guys are going to rule out. Hojbjerg and Ollie Skip. I'll start off by talking about Hojbjerg. His off-the-ball work when he's been playing recently has been absolutely fantastic. It really has. The way he contributes to play, he makes some fantastic runs, his press. He's a really good and hard worker off the ball, but on the ball, he's simply not good enough. He's really sloppy, poor pass after poor pass. As I say, his passing accuracy is horrendous. And in my opinion, he's just not good enough. He can come in and do a decent job as a squad player, but with some of the other options that we've got in the midfield, he's just not good enough, in my opinion. Ollie Skip, I think with Ollie Skip, as I say, it's the opposite. His on-the-ball work is much better than Hojbjerg. His passing's much better, but off the ball, as I say, in my opinion, he's not that positionally aware. He doesn't work hard enough. He doesn't make great runs. And when we're playing with him, as I say, we're a bit static, especially with the way we move in that midfield. So those 2 players are going to be ruled out straight away. I think they've come in at times, done decent jobs, especially this January when we've been missing the likes of Papi Matar and Bissouma. And you've got to consider, as I say, we have played some tough games. Old Trafford, I get that this Manchester United team aren't as good as the past, but Old Trafford's always a tough place to go. Villa, who have been on fire and who we're competing with for top 4, went there and lost 3-2, and we dominated that game with Hojbjerg in the midfield. Ollie Skip started some recent games, Hojbjerg started some recent games, especially in January, and we have gotten points in January, and we may look back at the end of the season at those points being vital. So look, they've made mistakes, both of them. They haven't been brilliant, both of them, but they've come in and they've not been horrendous either. They've done a decent enough job and moved us on to February, as I say, with our first 11 pretty much returning, still in that race for Champions League football and top 4. But look, that leaves 4 other options. It's really, really hard to choose 3. And I'm not just going to choose the best 3 players. I've got to choose the 3 midfielders out of these 4 that I believe will work the best in that midfield. So I'm looking at different ways of starting. I think James Maddison has to be in there. He's the first one who has to go straight into that midfield. His creativity is next to none in this Spurs team. Giovanni Lo Celso, as I say, has a good eye for a pass, but nowhere near as good as James Maddison. When you play a style of play that we do with fullbacks inverted, very much narrow and through the midfield, you need a player like him to spot that eye of a needle pass. I think he has to start the next game, and as long as he's fit, has to start for the rest of the season. I made a video earlier in the season where I compared him to Odegaard and said he was better. I stand by that. The one thing with James Maddison is he's slightly injury prone, because apart from that, he's a complete and perfect footballer we want in that attacking midfielder position. So for me, James Maddison has to go in there. Then you're looking at the other 3 players. Papi Matar, very young player, had a great season in my opinion. He really has. He's given it his all, shown some real quality, but does he have as much quality as Rodrigo Bentancur? Rodrigo Bentancur is a great midfielder, but since returning, he's not been that consistent. Let's not beat around the bush. He had that really good game against Man United, but against Everton, I thought he was really poor. Against City, I thought he was really poor. Against Brentford, I thought he was really poor. That's 3 games in a row, in my opinion, where he hasn't delivered. But then what he'll always offer you is that quality. And it makes you think, if he was put in there, as I say, with a James Maddison and either a Papi Matar or Bissouma next to him, would that up his game instead of having a Hojbjerg or Skip next to him? You've got to consider how these different, midfield 3s would work. Then you're looking at Bissouma. At the beginning of the season, I would have said nailed on straight away, just like James Maddison, because he started the season so well. One of the best ball carriers in the league. It felt like he had super glue on his boots, as I say, because he did not lose the ball. But he had that spell in December where he just wasn't that consistent. And actually, not December. I think he started the season brilliantly. Got sent off against Luton. When he returned from that sending off, he was still good, but not that consistent. And then in December, as I say, he looked like he lost a little bit of his passion. And maybe a lot of that's due to the fact that he had one eye on the AFCON. Obviously, he's went there. Marley have got knocked out. Feel bad for him. And he's returning to Spurs now. And we'll see if that makes a difference, as I say. But it looked like he didn't really want to be there. Wasn't giving it his all. Got a stupid sending off against Forest, which meant that he missed 3 games before the AFCON. I think a lot of fans were starting to lose their temper with Bissouma because of the standard that he set at the beginning of the season. He started the season so well and then started putting in these inconsistent, sloppy and lazy performances. I think people were questioning him. But then at the same time, you've also got to consider when he was putting in these performances, there wasn't a James Maddison there. You know, Vias Bissouma, Papa Matasar, James Maddison as a midfield 3 at the beginning of the season worked so well. And you've got to consider, as I say, with the likes of Bissouma, when he wasn't performing as well, James Maddison wasn't there. Papi Matasar, when he wasn't performing as well, Bissouma and James Maddison weren't there. Bentancur Kerr recently, when he hasn't been performing as well, he hasn't got either of those 2 midfielders next to him. So with, as I say, these 4 top midfielders back, I think Bissouma will step up with better, partners next to him. I think Sarr will, with someone like a Bissouma. I think Bentancur Kerr will, with someone like a Bissouma or Sarr. But the midfield 3 I would go with is James Maddison as an attacking midfielder. Pape Matasar is the first one. I don't believe he deserves to lose his place. I think he moves the ball around really well. And Vias Bissouma. Let me explain why I've gone with this midfield. Bentancur, as I say, if he comes off the bench, starts a few games when we start to rotate, maybe he gets his place back. But for me, he hasn't done enough to take it off Bissouma in the last 3 games that he's played. And in my opinion, when Bissouma was sloppy, as I say, he didn't have the same partners next to him. Papi Matasar, Bissouma and James Maddison. As a midfield 3, I haven't seen them have a bad game. As I say, all 3 of them have had games where they've been off it, but when they've been off it, one of the other ones hasn't been around. I think they work so well together as a midfield 3. Bissouma sort of playing as a DM, holding the ball up well, having it glued to his feet, driving through the midfield. Papi Matasar, as I say, also sort of dropping back deep, free roaming about, and James Maddison being the attacking midfielder we need, spotting the eye of a needle pass. I think that's the midfield 3 we should go with. I think that midfield 3's got experience working together at the beginning of the season. And you look at the beginning of the season and why everything was working so well. I think it was because of that midfield 3. When we lost Maddison due to injury, obviously we lost other players. The centre-backs were crucial and losing the back 4. But I think, as I say, you lose Bissouma due to the suspension. You lose Maddison as the attacking midfielder. And then you've also missing, the 2 centre-backs. You're missing the spine of that team. With that spine of that team back, even with the centre-backs, as I say, back, I think that's the midfield 3 we should go with. And Bentancur as a very, very good option off the bench. Look, I want to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. What midfield 3 should we start with? Would you put a Højbjerg or a Skip in there? Would you maybe move a Kulusevski to an attacking midfielder position? That's one I haven't discussed, but I don't think, we can do that really. I wouldn't put Maddison in there and then Kulusevski. I just think that unbalances the midfield. But look, maybe you guys differ with opinions, and I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. I really do appreciate your guys' constant support, so please smash that like button and subscribe button if you haven't already, and comment your thoughts on what we have discussed today. You guys are absolutely awesome. Thank you for tuning in. Take care, all the best, have a smashing day and rest of your week, and as always, Enoch and Levy out. In Big Ange we trust. Come on, you Spurs.